Hello, ladies, all lady panel. Great. I'm Cleola Kunene, and I am from the JSC. I'm also an entrepreneur. I specifically work with SMEs locally and in other countries. And I think there is a lot to be said in terms of SMEs and SME strategies, but specifically when it comes to the concept of sustainability. And I like the gentleman's question just now around not just a green impact, but the entirety of the spectrum of what that means. And then when we're talking about strategies for SMEs and entrepreneurs, what better way to dive into it, and other than with people in the ESG space, UN, Global Compact, etc., but people who are in the entrepreneurship, SME, and governance space in different aspects. So, ladies, I'm going to ask you to please start from that side. Just introduce yourselves, and then we can kick off with a few questions. But we're going to do it interactively as well, and also allow for some questions from the audience.
Okay, I think the audience is still the same and everybody remembers the previous. So I am the person I said I am before, but I'm also a life coach, and I also, as an entrepreneur, I also work with other entrepreneurs, teaching them about cultural intelligence, how to lead a diverse team, as well as DI. That's another branch to my business, but also ties back into mental wellness and the mental wellness of your employees. So that's me again.
Sorry, your name?
It's Faith Wesson, sorry.
Faith, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mbali, Motsoeneng, and I work for Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator. So it's a social enterprise that enables young people to gain access to jobs. But I head up the partnerships for micro enterprises, so helping young people to start their own businesses, to grow them, but also to see how we can create market access through platform partners like Uber, Sweep South, etc.
Good afternoon. Excuse my voice for the day. I'm Siziwe Zulu from the National Empowerment Fund. I am a business development officer. I also co-head the Women Empowerment Fund, and I also work with the presidency on the Women Economic Empowerment Program. I am very much passionate about women playing their role in the economy.
Anusha Naika, you've heard a lot from me, so I won't talk a lot. I am in the international development space. I'm the regional director of an international NGO headquartered in New York, and I'm overseeing livelihoods and employability programming in Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa at the moment, really trying to equip young people to unlock livelihood opportunities.
Great, thank you so much. Let's kick off immediately with the first question, and I'm going to, take a few liberties here in terms of, tweaking it a little bit, considering we don't have a lot of time, and just dive into some of the key aspects. When we look at sustainability generally, right, and we look at the gap between what companies are doing and what they understand and have access to, how can we look at bridging the gap? My personal view is governance is the starting point, but of course you're in your different sectors. So I'll start with you, Mbali, if you don't mind. Let me start with you. What do you think are some of the key strategies SMEs can look at and implement to bridge that gap for themselves?
Thank you so much for that question. So maybe to start off, Harambee as a social enterprise, we realize that it's very important not only to work with corporate companies for inclusive hiring, but also to look at how do we partner with government in terms of processes. So one of our key partners, or rather we the key partners of the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative. So Presidency has an idea on this is the strategy to reduce youth unemployment in South Africa. We ideate with different partners like the NYDA as well as Yes for Youth on how do we approach various sectors in the economy where we see a lot of jobs and entrepreneurship opportunities will come from. And now how we bridge that gap is that we have a platform that we host as partners called sayouth.mobi, where basically employment partners get onto this platform and make opportunities visible to young people. Specifically in the entrepreneurship space, if I'm working with a partner such as Green Riders that enable young people to do last mile delivery and basically to be in gig work where you earn your own money, that partner goes into the platform, shows the opportunity, and when that partner wants to grow and create more opportunities, we tap into government resources in order to fund. So blended financing, for example, including government partners and as well as private sector is very key in terms of how do we attract more opportunities, but also ensuring that these businesses that are facilitating economic activity are able to grow and scale in the formal and informal economy. So that partnership is very key for us.
That's amazing. And Zazini, I'm going to ask that you please, just delve into that, because especially when it comes to women, we know that women are struggling in terms of the minority of accessing, especially funding or opportunities, market access, etc. Can you give us a little bit of insights in terms of the work that you do, and how do you think SMEs can bridge that gap?
Thank you. So I'm sure you've heard that a couple of years ago, the president did announce that 40% of all procurement should go to women. But in South Africa, less than 5% is actually being allocated to women in particular. And so we are running a program currently where we are going throughout South Africa to find the women. Now, what we do for the women there, we've got 5 pillars or 5 modules where it's informal. The previous panel spoke about, how to formalize and make sure that you don't run away from the governance structures and so forth, but to look at the greater picture in terms of saying your growth and what you can do as a business owner. We look at making sure that you are compliant throughout all your governance structures in terms of King Code 4. We look to even issuing you with access to market through the She Trades, UN Women, CEDA. UN Women has got Buy From Women, in particular the She Trades is CEDA. We look into educating women about money. Someone spoke earlier about, tomorrow you'll be driving a Mercedes. So that's one of the most common things that we do. So we're trying to equip women to be good entrepreneurs, to be the best entrepreneurs, because we do believe that when you fund a woman, you actually fund the nation. We look into access to finance. Now, most women actually are running businesses, but they are saying that there's no money. They can't find the money. It's been a bit difficult for them to fund their businesses. So this program in particular looks into helping women, assisting women, and capacitating you throughout the sectors, not only in the most common sectors like catering and so forth, but how can we make sure that your business is actually efficient and bids for those tenders. We even help them complete their CSDs and register online through provincial treasury, respective provincial treasuries. Some districts, in actual fact, as we follow the DDM model, you find that we'll use Ekurhuleni. Even though you're registered on the CSD, you still can't bid or win a tender if you're not registered on the Ekurhuleni database. So we bring all of that and the market to you to let you know what is available. And I'm certain that when you can then at least procure and win tenders from the public sector, you'll also be able to win some from the private sector, so that at least you don't look at one sector only, diversify your business. And then I wrote here that, in actual fact, by integrating women into the economy, we are not just addressing gender disparities, but we are unlocking the full potential of our economy.
Absolutely, and I fundamentally agree with that. If we look at socioeconomic impact and the impact of women that are economically free versus men, we see fundamentally communities shifting, right? And it's not just a stat that one can quote like, in terms of, this is how I feel. It's tangible. Even 70% of buying decisions from the home is made by the woman, right? So I absolutely see that, and I think it would be great to see also and understand, what are the key fundamentals that you think, from a governance and reporting perspective that women can actually do to help them access these opportunities, because not everybody can be part of a program, right?
So as the National Empowerment Fund, we've got what we call non-financial support. So maybe just to give you a brief background, we offer loans particularly between 250 to 75 million throughout all the sectors in the country. We also offer non-financial support. What that means is that for businesses which are a bit small and still need to grow, we incubate them to help them grow into bigger business where they can start qualifying for greater funds. As soon as you have been funded, we also help you in terms of mentoring you. We've got our post-investment units that walks the journey with you. We find that at times you're so good at entrepreneurship, but finance-wise, you're not sure what to do. Opportunity, like you know how to make this chair, but you don't know how to sell it, where to sell it. So we actually offer mentorship and coaching through that. We also have our TWR department that helps you, let's use the likes of COVID as an example. Many businesses got into distress. we don't go ahead and say, okay, let this business close down. TWR actually holds your hand and resuscitates your business on your behalf. They help you with that. Even with our marketing department, you actually get access to market because they help you on all platforms that we have, and also create platforms on your behalf where you could also be able to advertise your businesses.
Thank you very much. Anisha, I'll jump to you. You know, there's this perception, and I think it's a reality, that when it comes to sustainability and understanding the requirements, even the frameworks from a socioeconomic perspective, that we're behind, right? I don't necessarily think, you know, it's in the context of behind or ahead, but in the context of relevance, that maybe what's relevant for us, and especially for our SMEs, shouldn't be Eurocentric. What are some of those things that you're seeing in an international landscape, especially into the work that you do, that you think would be applicable for us, and especially for our SMEs, in terms of bridging that gap?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think key for me is leading by what you said, and you know, taking the South African backdrop into context. You know, Europe didn't start where we did. Europe didn't have those particularly underserved communities for as long as we did, right? And we need to appreciate that. So some of what we try to implement, and again, I've been known, I think, for the last 2 sessions to say the controversial stuff. But I do feel like we see what works in Europe, we see what works in the US, and we want to copy and paste it for South Africa. It doesn't work, right? And it's not something that is a copy and paste. Yes, they are, you know, they have a certain specific set of governance criteria. Ours needs to be tweaked for our target audience, for our part of the world, for our communities that have had those barriers to access for so long, for so many decades, and they still do. And I think, you know, when I look at reports and I see how underspent some of our funding bodies are, I'm not talking about the NEF now, but there are underfunding, other funding bodies, right? And I think to myself, but so there's money there. We don't know how to tap into it. We don't know how to unlock it, but it comes down to the governance. And I mean, I'm from an international NGO, right? So there are very specific criteria that need to be met for us to fund South African entities. But I look at those criteria and I think, so you want to bring this US money here, you want to bring this money from Germany here, but you're actually putting obstacles in the way of my people being able to access it. And then you ask why they can't access it, because we've put so many hurdles. On the flip side, having been a public officer forever, I want to say that I can also appreciate why some of those governance structures are there, why they need to be abided by, because there's a whole lot of, you know, shady things that do take place as well that we need to be mindful of. And therefore, it comes down to this bottom line for me. And I see the women-owned businesses here, and it makes me very happy, is women becoming empowered with skills. Go and learn what the governance structures are that you need to abide by. I had to learn that if I'm a public officer and I have the power of attorney for an international NGO, these are the things I need to do. Because the jailable time is for me and me only. Can't go arrest somebody from Washington and jail them here, right? So it was education, knowledge, skills, and I think that's what we need to empower ourselves with. Parting shot, I would say, we did a massive project in Motsoeneng. And initially, the project started for developing young people with skills and opportunities, learning, etc. And we realized in just training the young people, we're not uplifting the whole community, right? Community development is about uplifting everyone in the sector. Who are the parents of those young people that we're training? Who are their moms, domestics? Do they know anything about how to manage their money? We spoke about buying that Mercedes-Benz with your first salary. Because that's what we do, because we don't have financial literacy. Who taught you? You know, and for as long as we don't empower women with financial literacy and how to build generational wealth, we are going to be stuck in this circle. It becomes cyclical.
Anisha, I'm going to stick to you for one more sec and just talk about the ecosystem, because if we fundamentally want something to work, we have to understand who are the ecosystem players and what is the value chain for this to work. What do you think are some of the gaps in terms of South Africa? Because everybody's doing something, and I think in most aspects they're duplicating, right? Or they're not really clear about, the shift that they can make within their role in the ecosystem. And what do you think, understanding both a global and a local landscape, is that ecosystem play, or let's call it a value chain play, that we need to implement and focus on in order for us to succeed in this space?
Again, I think that's a great question, and I won't talk forever because I can talk forever on a question like that. But something really key was said in the first session where they talked about how we operate in silos. And I think we're super guilty of that. Our government departments operate in silos. Our big businesses operate in silos. We're guilty of operating in silos. And I think collaboration is key. Where are our brand SA folks? Because we have all of these bilateral country agreements with the US, with the UK, with Ireland, with Germany, you name it. And when I look at those agreements, each and every one is operating in silos. There's zero collaboration. And I'm thinking somebody needs to steer us to working towards common goals and pooling our efforts. And I'm saying efforts because it's not just about money. And I think that's where we're lacking, because then we'll see the outputs. Then we'll realize the outputs. We'll realize, the outcomes. And I also think in terms of, the international space, sometimes, not all the time, and I'm choosing my words very carefully here, they have
all of these things are available. However, fundamentally, the ask is on the entrepreneur. The ask is on the business itself. And most of our startups, especially our SMEs, it's an incredible burden on them, right? And I want to just mention a research that was done by UCT. And UCT did this research over a number of years. And their fundamental answer to why SMEs fail was it's up to the founder. Right? And a business starts or fails with the founder. What do you think for founders that are really trying to veer into sustainability and make it work for them are some of the strategies that they can implement within their own journeys in terms of whether it's education, whether it's taking advantage truly of the opportunities that are available?
Thank you so much for the question. I think I will speak from my personal journey as an entrepreneur, just to give an example. So one of the things I've learned, so I began my business, I started working since I was 16, but to formalize the business, it was in 2021 when I started prototyping the game that I developed, the mental wellness game. And then one of the things the advice I was given by a friend was enter a business incubator, because you don't know what you don't know until you have somebody kind of assisting you in that. And that was a very important, pivotal moment for me, because I went in there thinking I had this down, and I realized I'm running a very bad spaza shop. Really, it felt like a spaza shop, I didn't know anything. I was sweating it out. But through that journey, I had support. One, I had a place where I could bounce off ideas. I had knowledgeable people assisting me. And I had access to experts from marketing, from UK, people in UK, US, really bringing in all these innovative ideas into my business, helping me see the bigger picture, not just me making money, but rather how I sustain this business in the long run. So that's one of the first strategies that really helped. And the second one that is still very relevant today is, people won't tell you this, but you need a board of advisors, not just a mentor. You need a board of advisors, different experts from different fields. You need to really sit down and understand this as an entrepreneur. Where are your gaps in your knowledge and your skills? And to bring on LinkedIn is your friend, guys, so go in there, make some friends, people that know more than you. You cannot be the smartest person in the room ever. You're doing something wrong if you're doing that. So by having a board of advisors, those people hold you accountable. You put those milestones and they help you by letting you know, are you going in the right path or not? And you're going to have to learn to take constructive feedback, which is a very big problem for entrepreneurs because you're married to your idea a lot. But you have to understand you're going to need to pivot. You're going to need to abandon a lot of ideas because you're excited about the idea. But that's not what your consumers want. So you need to be comfortable with that. I know it takes a while, and your board of advisors are not really nice people. They tell you how it is. So you need to get comfortable with those type of things. So that was one of the important things. And also joining business communities. I am a Krasha Michelle Trust Youth Advisor, as well as a Grindstone alumni as well. And I'm part of the Darkies in Techs community. I'm part of a lot of business communities. And you learn a lot from doing newsletters to networking, all the things that you're not really good at. Some people assist you, and they even go as far as helping you validate some of the ideas you have. So by doing this, you cover yourself. So it doesn't cost any money, but it requires time and effort, and you reciprocating to others. So when others give, you also give back as well, and you support them. And that's such an important thing that we don't discuss as entrepreneurs, because we tend to be so focused on ourselves and us just being successful, but it does take a village for you to be successful, because your clients are sitting in somebody else's network, and you need to be able to make friends in business and be trustworthy and breed your credibility as well. So those are the lessons I have learned throughout my journey, and have helped me thrive and get to the point where I am in my business and doing the things that I do. So I think those are a couple of strategies you can start today, and it don't cost you a thing.
No, absolutely, and I think the same applies to, exploring ESG or sustainability. Often people get like, oh, there's so many requirements, so many things. I'm like, start with governance and start with what's relevant. And a simple example, if you, for instance, rent out a building, what's relevant for you? Energy, right? Waste removal is relevant for you. So start with what's relevant, and absolutely be part of the communities, be part of the conversation. But education, which is 100% what we spoke about today. So I'm going to open up for 2 questions. I know we don't have a lot of time, but please feel free to ask your questions. And I already see hands. I'll start with the gentleman here.
Hi. Like I could hear that you were speaking about generational wealth. So my question is, if I want to generate generational wealth as an aspiring entrepreneur, is it advised to use private banking?
Do you want to talk about funding? Because we're talking about, okay, that's fine. I mean, does anyone want to ask that question?
I can take a stab. I'm not a banker myself,
Yes.
but coming from a previously disadvantaged background myself, I knew nothing about how to create generational wealth. And I still believe, maybe I only understand the concept.
Yes.
Generally, people like us that have come from a certain era or haven't been exposed to this concept, we work and we earn money, we earn a salary.
Yes.
But what we don't know is that we can turn what we earn into wealth. Your salary is not wealth. Long-term investing, understanding financial markets, understanding different financial vehicles, and here again I'm speaking from a completely basic understanding, because I'm not in that space of being a broker, etc., but I've had to read to understand myself. And that is what I think, particularly as young people,
Yes.
we need to apply our minds to some more in terms of creating generational wealth.
I think Mbali wants to take a stab at the
Yeah, I'd
question.
like to take a stab, because I think in the work that we do at Harambee with Make Your Own Money, we focus on different types of entrepreneurs. So for example, if you are starting an application, there's a guy who was speaking about an application, a tech-based app, there's different types of funding for that. So number one, you could be bootstrapping, that's the term, meaning that you could be using your own money, asking friends for money, asking them to invest so that you're able to show the proof of concept of your business. Or you could be looking at angel investors. Across different cities, we've got people that have money that want to contribute and actually help you to start your business. So angel investors. And then you've got also models whereby you're looking at like ventures that like maybe want to grow a scale. So venture capitalists, that's the VC model. So you've got people that fund that. But then you have a difference between that sort of like funding versus SMME funding. SME funding, you could be using private loans, you could be going to government for funding, you could go to NEF, you could go to NYDA, day. So we need to sort of understand the different types of financing that you can have for a startup versus an SMME, and understand how do you make yourself bankable. So once you start earning profits, saving your money, finding collective savings schemes, making sure that you're able to, get credit because you've been able to separate your personal versus your business finances. Some of those indicators are very, important for a bank to see how much money do they put in so that you're not using your own finances throughout your business journey. I hope this kind of helps, but happy to chat more about it.
So we are going to talk about in the panel after this. I mean, I come from the funding space. I help companies get access to funding and have helped a lot of people with their individual financial literacy, financial investment journey. The core guidance is what exactly do you want to achieve, right? Your business is not you. Your business is, and it's very critical that any entrepreneur understands that the business's money is the business's money, your money is your money, right? So you need to have a strategy, keep your eye on your money, and your money will serve you well. But if you're not clear about what you want to achieve and how you're actually going to get there, it's going to be very difficult anyway. We'll take another question. Yes?
Hi, I'm Carol, and this is Chantal. Both of us are women who have had to pivot from your traditional roles, right? So I'm a medical doctor by profession and then decided to pivot into entrepreneurship. And there are certain things that you learn along the way. Obviously, you have to upskill yourself as well. We've both got back to school, done what needed to be done in terms of that space. And what we find is a lot of women our age, so not exactly young, so not under 35, and not old enough to have, benefited from, the grit of saying, I've got to make it work. It's the make or break. So we went into those traditional roles. And a lot of women say, how did you get out? How did you pivot? And we're basically finding ourselves trying to teach women how to set up their businesses and the regulatory aspect of it as well, making sure that you're compliant, making sure that you've got this and that in place. But the thing is, we do it out of passion, as out of our own NPO. And we still have to run other businesses to survive because we've got children. We're not yet there at that philanthropic level. Is there funding for, because we've talked a lot about education. We're willing to do the work, but we find that every time you look for funding to free up your time so you can focus on growth and teaching and education, there's nothing that we're finding, or there are very stringent requirements. One, I think a couple of weeks ago, wanted R1 million in turnover for your NPO before they can even think of funding you. And you're like, oh well, in that case, let me continue in the other aspects that will make me money in order to free up a little
I'm gonna pause you there because it's a long conversation. But I can give you a very straightforward answer, but I'm gonna.
I think for now, my dear facilitator, so what she's asking for mainly would be grant funding, of which is the National Empowerment Fund. We offer loans, so we'd still have to assist her maybe after this discussions in terms of where she could head to get assistance for her NPO.
Yeah, I think, specifically NPOs is very difficult. It's very different. If you have a business, and let's be very clear, if you're looking for working capital, it's working capital. But if you're wanting someone to finance your business, you're actually going to have to demonstrate growth, right? Nobody's doing anything for free. There's no such thing as free money.
Absolutely.
Maybe grant financing, but even then there are requirements, and everybody's pitching for that. So if you cannot demonstrate why should we give you money? I'm also an investor. I will not spend a cent. And I can tell you that for free. So you will have to do the work. 100%. There is no getting away from that.
No, 100%. I mean, you have to have a track record.
Let's have a chat. But I can definitely guide you. And there are people here who can guide you in terms of the right way and what you need to present and position. Because otherwise you're going to spend years struggling and saying no one wants to finance you. So you need to be clear about the requirements as well. Okay. I'm going to take one more. Actually, you know what? I'm kind of in two minds because I'm worried about time, but the lady over there had a hand up from the beginning, so I'm going to give her a chance, and then closing remarks from our panelists, and then we wrap up
Afternoon, everyone. So I just want to say thank you for touching on the point that a lot of people that are bringing investments or funding are looking at their things that they need to regulate through government, what they need to follow. Because I also think sometimes that's where the issue lies, is that you bring the money because you're looking at your own investments and then you just leave people there and then they get lost. There's no growth or anything like that. So what I wanted to ask from the panelists is that, do you think a lot of information that we're getting here is new to a lot of us? And if I didn't come here, I wouldn't have found out a lot of things in terms of in business incubators, the Grosha Michelle Trust, also the lady, the women empowerment, even Harambee. I didn't know Harambee was focusing on businesses now as well. I thought it was just employment based. So my question around that is, do you think that companies are not doing enough to advertise and share such information, or is it a matter of our negligence or a lot of laxity around us to maybe, I don't want to say be lazy to go around and look for the information, or maybe we're looking in the wrong avenues, we don't have the correct resources to look in the right places for such information? Thank you.
Who wants to take this?
I can try. I can take a stab at that. I don't necessarily think that it's your fault particularly, but I think at times, I think it was Baba, if I'm not mistaken his name, the gentleman, the first panel, who spoke about being out there. She spoke about LinkedIn right now. I think as entrepreneurs, we need to make sure that we are out there on every platform possible. As youth, we know that the likes of social media, all of them are very pivotal. All these entities that are sitting here today, even the other panels in other rooms, I'm certainly sure that they are on, the social media platforms. The only thing which I know may hinder, let's make an example. This room can only take a certain number of people. So even if these organizations advertise, there probably is an RSVP list of some sort, which then I'm sure it doesn't reach all South Africans, but it reaches most of the South Africans. But if you go on their specific websites, you should be able to find where they are. So that would be my advice to all the entrepreneurs in this room. Put yourself out there. The worst thing you can ever get is a no. The rest is for you to grab.
Absolutely agree with that. And I think generally, South Africa has got, and I mean, we can go to many countries, and I'm sure Anusha can tell you, that the development support we have in this country is incredible. Right? When I started out as an entrepreneur, all of these things didn't exist. Right? We had to hustle by your lonesome. There was nobody who's going to just give you, I mean, there were probably like 2 incubators back then. So the information is there, the opportunities are there, there has to be work on the entrepreneur side. At the same time, we can also acknowledge that as an ecosystem, we have not been great at defining our role for entrepreneurs and communicating that succinctly, right? So there's still a lot of work to do on both sides, and it's okay, because we're still in the early days, and we'll get there. I'm going to close off and ask my panelists to please just give some closing remarks in terms of just key strategies that they believe entrepreneurs can implement in their businesses to explore and create sustainability solutions for their own business.
Okay, from my side, I can definitely say that be curious and be obsessed with entrepreneurship. Be excited about it, and that's the only way you start to, see the different layers of the ecosystem and connecting with the right people. So you have to just first sit down with yourself and understand where do you want to end up, and then work backwards to square one. So be obsessed, don't be afraid. I know your social calendars are full, but maybe make some space for obsession. And that's the only way you're really going to truly thrive in entrepreneurship, when you give it your all and explore every avenue and be innovative.
Thank you so much. I think for me, is stay curious. So we talked about where's all of the information about Harambee doing entrepreneurship, where are the different ecosystem enablers. So try to understand where your business is at and where are the enablers around it, whether it's policy, it's funding, it's connections, and try to connect those dots for yourself. And then secondly, there's this template that I really like, the business model canvas. It helps you to basically have a structure of what's your business, what are the services, who are the customers, who are the competitors. Try to kind of map out and always have that thing top of mind for you, because when you're having a conversation with someone, it makes it easy to pitch. And the last one is that there is a summit happening called the South Africa Future Trust. It's held by the Oppenheimer family. They have a foundation. It's happening in 2 weeks in Johannesburg, and they are hosting different ecosystem enablers like business incubators. Harambee is also there, different partners within the entrepreneurship space, and they have a pot of money that is allocated to enabling SMMEs. So I think this would be a great platform for you. Just contact the conveners, ask for a discount, and we've managed via Harambee to get a discount of 400 Rand per ticket. I think this would be a key place for you to unlock funding.
Thank you, Mbali. So as a National Empowerment Fund, as I said earlier, we fund between 250,000 all the way to 75 million. We can help your business with working capital. We can help you whether you're a startup, you need to expand, you need equipment, and we also hold your hand, as I've explained earlier on, but you do need to be at least 51% Black owned. Our mandate is to grow Black participation within the economy. And then for the Women Empowerment Fund particularly, you need to be 51% women owned. One of the requirements that we have is that as soon as we give you the funding, you need to be in that business. You are the CEO. You're not going to hire someone else to be the CEO of that business, but you're going to run that business yourself. And then as my parting shot, I'd like to leave you with my 3 dresses that I also have learned a couple of years ago, is that you need to dress accordingly wherever you go. Address people. This place is one of the best places to address. Just simple communication, network, find the right people to help you with your business. And the last dress is to redress. We redress a lot of things. I mean, I'm so happy with the socio-economic impact summit that's happening today. Redress, whether it's women, you not being in the right place within this economy, whether it's in our social platforms, but wherever we go, let's redress. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm mindful of time, so I'll keep it short. I think it is clear for me that we're on a growth trajectory. That much is pretty clear. I want to encourage you to find your niche and be tenacious. In the, from the international development space, what I can say is there's lots of investment. The US government is a big investor, as is the EU, as is, so many of the embassies. What I can safely say is there was a time where I was actually looking for people and helping them to apply, because maybe we don't publicize it enough. Maybe we're guilty that we don't publicize when our applications are open, and there are varying degrees of complexity, I'm not going to lie, particularly tapping into, international funds. There can be a more streamlined approach, I think, but I think there is help, there is assistance. Reach out, look, there's a lot of information online. Those opportunities are here for you all, so grab them.
Thank you very much, ladies. Anusha, I have to speak to you. I've got many SMEs that can apply today. Thank you very much, everyone. Please feel free to chat to our panelists when they're outside having tea or coffee or lunch. They're here to engage and potentially give you some key insights that you may need. Thank you very much.